Hi, Chris Henry here, and welcome to Audio Punch. And if you're starting a podcast, you're going to need a piece of software called a digital audio workstation in order to edit the sound that you record. And if you're new to the game, you've probably found the internet's favorite free audio editing software, Audacity. So today I'm going to walk you through how to set up Audacity to record and edit, and also we're going to hit a little bit about why it might actually be a big mistake to use Audacity at all. Okay, so that was a bold statement, but we'll get to that. I promise it'll make sense. And don't worry, if you don't have any money at all, Audacity is your only choice, then by all means, use it. It'll get the job done. It's just that after a while, you'll find that it's doing you more harm than good the better you get at editing and recording. Also, if you're on a Mac, throw Audacity away. Just throw it away. Use GarageBand. It's better for this. And later on, I'll tell you why. So let's shrink down. Okay. This window you're looking at right now is what pops up the instant you double click on Audacity and open it. And you may, even if you're brand new to audio editing, you're going to recognize many of the buttons on this interface. For instance, pause, play, stop, go to the beginning, go to the end, record. Duh. All of these buttons will probably be confusing to you. All of this will probably be confusing to you, and we'll go into that real quick. But the first thing you're going to need to do is tell Audacity where your sound is coming from and where it's going. So if you're on Mac, this is going to come up Core Audio because it's the only audio driver there is. If you're on Windows, you may have to select the audio driver that you're using. As you can see, I don't have any other options there. If you're on Windows, it's probably going to be Realtek or Windows Audio Driver or ASIO Audio Driver, ASIO. There's probably only going to be one choice, so pick that one. If there's multiple choices, pick the one that plays sound when you hit play. Next, you'll see this mic icon here, this microphone icon. Next to, on mine, it says Orion 32. That's because that's the name of my audio interface. If you have an external sound card or something, you'll want to select that from the list. If you're just recording through your laptop microphone or something, you'll want to select something like built-in audio or system audio. It'll provide you a choice there. Next to that is this drop down. Whatever input is selected here is the input that by default Audacity will record when you press the record button. So it's important to pick the one that your microphone is plugged into if you have a multi-channel audio interface like I do. If you don't, again, this list is going to be much shorter. Just pick the microphone that you have plugged in or your system microphone. Next to the speaker icon here, you can see I have multi-output device selected. That's because for technical reasons, I have to actually send audio to a couple of different places in order to hear it myself and let you fine folks hear it. So that's why I have that selected. This is going to be whatever audio device your speakers are connected to, select that one. Again, if you don't have external speakers plugged in, or if you're just using your, laptop speakers or headphones, that's probably just going to be whatever your system speakers are called. So select that, and then you should be good to go. You'll see down here, project rate, sample rate. Don't worry about that right now. Just use whatever it selects by default. Same with all of this stuff. Don't worry about this. So when it comes to recording a podcast, let's say you don't have any audio and you want to record a podcast talking about comic books, right? You're going to need to create a new track for the audio to live on as it records. So you'll go up to the top. There's a menu called Tracks. You'll click it, click Add New, and you'll want to record a mono track, not a stereo track. The reason for that is this is not a stereo source. There's only one signal, mono, one. That's what you want to record. So now you can see I clicked that, and we have a field here where audio is going to live, and you can see it right now because I set my defaults up properly. When I press record, you're going to see audio popping up here like this. Hey, Chris, how's it going today? Hey, good, glad to hear it. And then you can hit the stop button or press spacebar to stop. And you can see now that I have recorded audio here. And if I click this button to go back to the beginning and hit spacebar to play, you're going to hear the audio. Hey, Chris, how's it going today? Hey, good. Glad to hear it. Huh? So it's as simple as that. To record audio into Audacity, as long as you pick all your settings properly, you can do it. If you run into trouble with that, Google is your best friend there. Just Audacity and whatever you're trying to do, you're going to find a result. And that's all well and good if all you want is to have a single track, a single microphone feed, whether it's just you talking or you sitting next to your co-host. That's fine. But that's not polished, that's not interesting. You're going to want to have at least some sort of introductory music while you describe what your show is or start the episode. Here's what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about Spider-Man and why he shouldn't drink coffee or something. In order to do that, you're going to need another track to hold the music, because if you put something here, it's going to overwrite the audio that you recorded, and you don't want that. The way Audacity handles this is it will automatically create a new track for any audio you import. And there's two ways to do this. The first is you can go to File, Import Audio, or hit on Mac OS Command-Shift-I. On Windows, that's probably Control-Shift-I. Or you can go to your Finder and locate the music that you have that you're allowed to use. Make sure it's legal before you go publishing this podcast on the internet with, some band's music that you don't have permission to use. Make sure it's royalty free and that you have the rights to put it on your podcast. An easy way to do that is head to freesound.org. They have a big library of free music and sound effects that I think all you have to do is credit the creator in your show notes at least. And there are other sound libraries you can subscribe to that provide effects and music and loops and things that you don't have to pay every time someone listens to it. You've already paid once to have access to that library, and you download it, and you're free and clear. So that's how I got this snazzy jazz number, and my preferred method of importing it is to click, drag, and drop. Now, you see this window? This is very important because when you bring audio into Audacity, that's a WAV file or an AIFF, it can use whatever uncompressed audio formats it can use. It's possible for Audacity to just play that track, reference that track from wherever you have it stored on your hard drive. What this option is asking is, hey, we see you're importing a file. Do you want us to make a copy of it? And the answer to that question is yes, because one of the major limitations that Audacity has is it does not do dynamic audio processing. If you add reverb or compression or equalization or any effects to the audio, it does it to the file that you have. Now, it does have a few steps of undo, but if you make a change to the original file and you quit Audacity and shut your computer down and open it back up again, those changes are permanent and you better be happy with them if you don't have a backup. So what I recommend is to leave this selected here. Make a copy of the files before editing. It's safer. Don't worry about reading the files from the original being faster. Faster doesn't mean anything if in half an hour you've just lost your original recorded audio. And then I would click Don't Warn Me Again and always use my choice above, and you'll never have to remember this again. Just make sure you do this the first time, or someday I guarantee you will be in a puddle of tears on the ground because you lost something important. After you hit OK, boom, here's your music. You'll notice that this has 2 lanes, even though it's clearly on one track. The reason for that is most music is a stereo file. That's what this is. The top lane here is the stuff that's going to play out of the left earphone or the left speaker. And the stuff on this bottom lane is going to be playing out of the right speaker or your right headphones. When it's mono, there's only one signal. Now, technically, it's playing out of both speakers or both headphones at the same time, but the effect is that it sounds like it's coming from right in front of you. When you hear stuff panning to one side or the other, that's because, there's only audio on this side and no audio on this side. That's why it makes it sound like it's over there. Anyway, music, for that reason, almost always in stereo. And now we can head back to the beginning and listen. Hey, Chris, how's it going today? Hey, good, good. Glad to hear it. So you can see it's playing both of those tracks together at the same time. As you see this line move along, which by the way is called the playhead, that's the part of the sound that it's playing. So when you're editing audio later, and we'll do plenty of videos on audio editing and mixing and stuff, because you can also hear that like the music was almost drowning out the voice there, right? That's what mixing and editing will do for you. But for now, just know that if you want to add some music or something to your audio, that's what you'll do. You put it on a second track, a stereo track, and arrange it so that it sounds good, sounds the way you want. And now I'm not going to want this music to play for the whole podcast, so I'm going to use this little tool here. You can see it automatically turns into this time selection tool. I'm going to click and drag all the way to the end. I'm going to hit delete. It's gone now. And now I can hold Command or Control, I expect, scroll up and zoom in and see, yeah, here, this is nice. And what I might do then is take this is going to be the volume slider, and just turn the gain down a little bit so that now when I play it, hey, Chris, how's it going today? Hey, good, good, glad to hear it. You know, it's a little easier to hear what's going on. So that's what you have. You can have this one feed with your you and your guest talking into your laptop microphone. You can have some music below it. And let's say you want to have, let's say you have an audio interface that has a couple of different inputs, or even 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, you know, whatever you have. And let's say you want to use Audacity to record each of those on separate tracks. It makes editing easier. It gives you a much nicer final output. It's a little more work, but in my opinion, it's worth the effort. And so let's say you agree with me and you want to do that same thing. In Audacity, the way you do it is you can't. You can't do it. There's no way to do it. Or there's no good way to do it. Now, people will show you how you can record 2 tracks at the same time, and it's kind of a hacky workaround. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but basically you could have a stereo track taking input 1 from a mixer. You just pan someone all the way to the left and record them panned all the way to the left, and you pan the second microphone plugged into this mixer all the way to the right, and that mixer is plugged into your audio interface or your computer microphone input or stereo input if it has one. That's not how you do it though. Like if you have to, if that's all you have, you can do it, but don't spend $100 on a mixer just to be able to record 2 tracks in Audacity. GarageBand supports it. There's a couple, there's something called Reaper, which is available on both Mac and Windows, and I think Linux even. And that one, it's not free, but it's really cheap. And there's one called Cakewalk, which I'm going to have to do a video investigating that for you guys, because I think you might be able to use it for free, but I'm not sure. Back in the day, it was one of the first commercially available, like, consumer level audio workstations, and then it was acquired by Sonar, and then now someone else has it. I'll put a link down below so you can investigate yourself, but don't quote me on that. Point is, Audacity can't do it, and if you're going to spend money, you can get a better result by spending that same money that you would spend on a mixer on a cheap 2-channel audio interface and an extra microphone. So that's one of the first major hurdles you run into with Audacity is it's not expandable. It's just not expandable. It'll do 1 track really well if you have a handheld recorder that does, like a Zoom H2 or 5 or 6, or I think Tascam makes some. There's plenty of different brands of those, So if you recorded your audio on a different device and you're just using Audacity to edit it, this hurdle is irrelevant to you. You could just import however many tracks you needed to and just edit it in Audacity. Which brings me to the second problem with Audacity. Typically, when you are editing audio for broadcast, which podcasts they're not exactly broadcast, but it helps to adhere to certain standards. And with Audacity, it's going to be hard to get to those standards. There's no signal routing between channels, so there's no way to have the effects you would need on like a master track that'll apply to everything and bring your podcast up to the right volume. You have to like get it right here and then export the whole thing and then bring it back into Audacity and then apply those effects. And then that's the other problem, is the effects in Audacity are not dynamically applied. So you have to select the audio you want to use. Could be the whole thing, which you can do by double clicking, and then go up to the effects menu in the top and pick, say, noise reduction. And Audacity's noise reduction is actually pretty good considering the fact that nobody got paid to develop it. You could run the noise reduction by, you know, select some empty noise, go to noise reduction, get the noise profile. Cool, now I have a noise profile stored. I can go to same effect again. Noise reduction. We'll just leave the standard bass effects there. And now, so we've gotten a little bit of the noise out, and then we want to, you know, bring this, even out the dynamic range, which is something, again, we'll get into later in other videos, but that would be the compressor. And we're, again, just for the sake of illustration, we're going to do defaults. This is how you apply effects in Audacity. And you have to do it track by track, and you have to remember the settings. You can save and load individual effect settings in Audacity, so to some extent you don't have to repeat certain kinds of work, but it's just every other audio workstation has the ability to dynamically process these effects, so you can put them in place, you can hear how they sound, you can edit them while you're listening to the audio, and the effects aren't applied until you export your episode at the end, or your video, or whatever. So we could do that. But what's just happened here is it has changed this file on the drive. Every time you do that, it changes the file. Now you can Command Z or Control Z and undo. But if you quit Audacity, if your computer crashes, if you don't like what you did and you forgot the order you did the effects, I mean, there's just a whole bunch of reasons why this is not a long-term viable solution, especially if you're going to take the time to learn how to do this. Audacity is not going to teach you good techniques or good habits. There are workarounds, but when it comes to audio editing and even some of the, I don't even want to say advanced recording, just every kind of recording other than literally just recording one source, Audacity can't do. There are workarounds where you can trick Audacity into doing something that you like, but even still, it slows you down. If you wanted to clean up all this audio and make everything sound just right for your show, you can do it. If it is your only option, you can do it. But I don't think it's your only option. So that's where we are with Audacity. I'm going to follow this right up with videos of how you can use Reaper and GarageBand to do the same thing more effectively. Those will also include how to finish your podcast episode and get the audio file sounding good overall, ready for people to listen to. But I'm not going to do that with Audacity because, frankly, it's a pain in the ass. And if you're going to take the time to learn it, I recommend using that time to learn something that will serve you longer. So thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit the thingy that says that you liked it or didn't like it, comment, ask me questions. I will answer questions in future videos if you have them, and that's all I got for you. I think this video is over.